Welcome to the Real Estate Espresso Podcast, your morning shot of what's new in the world of real estate investing. I'm your host, Victor Menasce. Today is another AMA episode, that is Ask Me Anything. I love to answer your questions, and if you have a question you think is going to be of broad interest, send it in. I'll answer it live on the air. Send your questions to victor@victorjm.com. That's victor@victorjm.com. Today's question comes from Luke in Ottawa. He says, I've just purchased my first investment property, and as I'm looking to grow, eventually becoming a full-time real estate investor, what are the next things that I should be focusing on? Well, Luke, this is a great question. The world of real estate investing is so broad and so vast, it's a little bit too big of a question. So you need to ask yourself the question, what is it that you want to focus on? Where do you want to be at some point in the future? And get extreme clarity on the answer to that question. And then once you have the answer to that question, then figure out who you need to hang out with. It's not just a matter of taking a course or getting in the right mindset, as a lot of people will tell you to do, but it's really a matter of finding out who you aspire to be and then go hang out with those people. So if you want to be a doctor, go hang out with doctors. If you want to be a nurse, hang out with nurses. But don't say, I want to be a doctor, and then say, well, that's hard, so I'm just going to take a course in first aid. You want to be hanging out with the right people, the people that are doing that work day in, day out, so you can really learn from them. There's a reason why all of the elite figure skaters in the world train out of a couple of rinks here in Canada. One of the Olympic gold medalists that we had come speak at one of our events, she moved to Oakville, Ontario to train at one of those rinks, and she's also coaching a lot of elite figure skaters from all over the world. So that age-old statement of who you hang out with is who you become is absolutely true. You want to become a developer, hang out with developers. You want to become an apartment asset manager, hang out with apartment asset managers. You want to own warehouses that eventually become Amazon fulfillment centers? Well, then go hang out with people that do that sort of work. I appreciate you bought your first property right now and that it's a 2-unit property, but if that's not your long-term goal, then don't spend too much time focusing on that one thing, because it may in fact be pulling you off your desired path. If you look at the individual who's the Prime Minister of Canada, he's started his career as a high school teacher. Why is it that this high school teacher and not another high school teacher became Prime Minister? Well, the answer is very clear, because this high school teacher's father was also Prime Minister of Canada. So he grew up in that environment. Everything that happened in this person's childhood was in that environment. He would go hang out with heads of state as part of the family. He would travel around the world. So all of the things that you learn by osmosis, by being immersed in an environment, this particular child who became a high school teacher managed to become part of his DNA because he was immersed in that environment, not just because his dad was Prime Minister, it's because he was in that environment. The next thing you want to consider is the world of real estate investing is a business, and all businesses, as a true business, not just a job, require breadth of functions, skills that are far beyond the skill set of a single individual. So you might be thinking and hoping that you're going to grow organically from 1 unit to 2 units to 3 units, and eventually at some point in the future you'll have enough units and enough cash flow that you can hire your first employee, and then you're going to grow and you're going to grow organically, and eventually you'll hire your second employee. And what I'm here to tell you is that almost never works. You will get to a point where you get stuck in a low Earth orbit that you will never escape. You get into a trap because you don't have the skills to grow beyond where you are, and there aren't enough hours in the day or enough revenue to enable you to grow beyond where you're currently limited. While it sounds counterintuitive, it's actually easier to go bigger. You need to be investing in projects that are large enough to in fact afford all of the necessary skills to have and build a scalable business. And the number of functions that are required, the number of people that you need in order to have any business of any description, means you're going to need to support at least the income stream for 9 or 10 families. Now you might be thinking, well, if I haven't figured out how to feed one family, how am I going to figure out how to feed 9 or 10 families? And the key to that is to be working on projects that are large enough to afford hiring that number of employees. So if you aspire to be a business owner or an entrepreneur, someone who's going to be the leader of an organization like that, you'll want to hang out with other business leaders who have built organizations like that. I want to say congratulations, Luke, for buying your first property in your mid-20s. You're getting a fabulous head start compared to many people in the industry. I want to thank you, Luke, for a great question. And for the listeners at home, if you're stuck and you're wondering why you're not getting where you want to be, consider that you might be missing those relationships with people who have walked the path you desire to walk. In the meantime, have an awesome rest of your day. Go make some great things happen. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.